Beautiful sunshine day and happy 3-3 portal. So I'm here with our 7 beautiful brothers and sisters for this roundtable where we are sharing the beautiful balancing energies of Gaia and the collective. So we're going to be sharing our different insights with you today. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to introduce ourselves. So my name, if you don't already know, is Claire. I am known as the Circle of Light Healer. And basically, I am an aura and raw practitioner. I also offer quantum galactic akashic reading. And I'm a channel as well. And so I do various different trainings and traveling around to different key locations, sacred locations on Gaia, cleansing, activating, and doing various different parts of pieces of work within the ley lines and sacred sites. So that's about me. It's a beautiful honor to be here with all of these beautiful people here and sharing this with you. So let's all introduce ourselves then. Jessica, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Yeah. Hello. So I'm Jessica. It's an honor to be here with you all. So I'm not a practitioner, but I've had a few aura sessions and have done a few activations with like the pyramids, and also have been led to different sites, some close to me, some further up country, to start some activations of the sort of white energy. And well, I've just sort of on my own sort of healing path as well. So yeah, thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jessica. And Tiffany, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Tiffany Landmore. I'm based in Somerset, UK. I'm a multidimensional healer, Akashic consultant, and holistic herbalist. I'm the founder of Earthlight Physic Garden. So I'm working multidimensionally with plants and also people for the greater good and healing of Gaia. I'm really, really grateful to be here and excited to have a chat.
Yes, nice, relaxed chat. And Leon, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Leon. I'm based in northern Germany. I'm also the divine messenger. I have my own blog on which I publish information that I receive, either meditations or spontaneously or in hypnosis session, in particular about the topic of divine intervention, ascension of humanity together with the earth. My work also involves transmuting, transforming, cleansing and cutting timelines, collective energies, resuscitating and resurrecting history and forgotten species and ancient history.
Thank you, brother. Yes. Thank you for that. And Jeffrey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Jeffrey. I'm currently living in Essex, but I was born in Glastonbury and I'll also be living up in Sherwood Forest with Claire, my twin flame. So I am a Aura and Ra certified healer. I also do the same as Claire, like Akashics and readings. But just like Claire, what I like to do the most is we go around gridding the lands, healing the lands, just like Leon, going into timelines and ensuring that they're at the most highest timeline for us all. And so that's my most favourite work I like to do. And I know all of you on this panel, so it's an honour to be here. And thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak what I have to say. So thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Wakafa?
Hi, I'm Wakafa. It's an absolute honor to be here. Thank you, Claire, for arranging this and including me in this. Like most people here, I'm an Aura and Ra practitioner, and I also do a podcast series on the systems of oppression. So we're all about the organic flow and becoming organic, and it's one of the things. Oops, excuse my internet. I am all the way out in Vietnam. and for some reason it likes to play up. So it's one of the things I'm quite interested in doing, and just bringing awareness to the systems of oppression we sit in and how it connects into us. So understanding things like, you know, them versus us, right or wrong, fear, it's all part of the programming, it's all part of the inverted matrix. And unfortunately, although we're all organic, we still have to interact with these energies or people who hold these energies. So my podcast started very organically, just trying to get out the information that was coming out. And it's led to a series of understanding all the different inversions that can sit within us and how they connect in with us. And but it's all about clearing them through aura and Ra and meditation and Akashic records. So that's me. And you can find me, actually, my website is lightwithin.online. And my podcast, you can find me on YouTube and Spotify at Unicorn Farts Podcast.
Sister, thank you. And the beautiful Siobhan, the Celtic Empire.
Hello everybody. Dia Gwith Anam Cara is Misha Siobhan Molia, which means basically hello, my soul friends. My name is Siobhan O'Malley. I am the Celtic Empath, and I would just like to say thank you to Claire and to Jeffrey for bringing our energies together today. I'm also using some new technology today, so I hope my sound is okay as well. But I am the Celtic Empath. My website is activatedwakeaurahypnosis.com. I am a trained aura and Ra practitioner. Also, I do quantum Akashic readings. And I'm just delighted to be here. I can't say enough what an honor it is to be able to bring the work together. I work, I guess, sacredly working with the land was where I first began connecting into the land here. I'm based in Ireland. I live in a city outside the city called Limerick. So we're on what's considered the southwest coast of Ireland. And I live on the Wild Atlantic Way, which is what it's called, and it's pretty wild here. So yeah, it's an honor to be here, and I can't wait to hear divine messages and inspiration is going to be brought through today. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Siobhan. You just broke up just a little bit towards the end there.
Okay.
Do you want to just repeat this, just the last, like, sort of 30 seconds?
Did you get the bit where I said I was living in Limerick?
Yes, we got that part. Yes, sorry.
I think it's my heart. My heart is like pounding through my chest. So I think it's like pounding through the internet. Okay, so I'm living in Limerick, which is based on the southwest coast of Ireland, which is called the Wild Atlantic Way. So a lot of people might have heard of the Wild Atlantic Way. So it's very powerful here. So I work a lot with the elements, and I work with the land. I work with a lot of the location sacred sites, and through that energy, I also work with the ancestor and the ancestral memories and the lineage within basically the Celtic DNA, or what we're calling the Celtic DNA. But that's my base, my energy work here. So thank you for bringing us together, Claire and Jeffrey, and I look forward to our messages and what's going to come through today.
Beautiful. Thank you, sister. Thank you. Yes, so 3-3 portal. Yeah, that's why I wanted to. I was guided to ask these beautiful people to join us on this roundtable today, and I connected in with Mother Gaia this morning for a message, and the first thing that the first words that she said to me was dissonance. And I love it when this happens, when she says, so it's not that I wasn't totally aware of the words dissonance, but what happens is when I channel, they'll give me words that I've never heard before, which I love, because then I know that when I Googled them and I realized exactly what they were saying to me, it really then pulls in that knowing that that is the truth, because sometimes we can self-doubt when we're channeling, can't we? We can self-doubt with things. So the word came through as dissonance, and which means lack of harmony. So I said, okay, so you would like to share about the lack of harmony that we have felt in this dissension of Gaia. And basically she was explaining to me about the beautiful harmonic wave that is traveling throughout Gaia today. And there's many different waves that travel around, but specifically this 3-3 portal wave, she explained that this is a rainbow wave, and there's no coincidences that there are 7 of us here today. The seven beautiful rays of the rainbow. And what she showed me was sort of an overview of the collective, if you like, all these beautiful pillars of light and their rainbow chakras, the main 7 chakras within them. And she was saying that, she said, as you rise as a collective, I rise. That's how it works. As you heal those chakras within you, you heal the deeper layers within you, you heal me, and you heal also the main chakras on Gaia, because there is the universal gateways. There are the main 7 chakras on Gaia, which many collective workers, you may not realize, but some will realize and some won't. Subconsciously, we are all healing those beautiful chakras of Gaia. So this rainbow harmonic wave, she showed me this beautiful wave that was going out, and in the background there was like a song, it was like a harmonic song, and it was like a vibration of love, like a mixture of love and rainbow energy that was like a harmonic sonic wave that was expanding out on this 3-3 portal. And it was so beautiful to sort of experience this wave. And what she was explaining was, you can connect with her and feel this beautiful wave that's traveling around. And she just wanted to remind us that this is what we are here to do, to come into balance, come into harmony within ourselves, which then aids her in turn. So yeah, that's really what she wanted to share today about this beautiful 3-3 portal rainbow wave of ascension. And I would like to, I will speak again sort of at the end about something else that I want to share. But for now, I would like to pass over to Jessica to see what she would like to share with us. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, so I've sort of been shown a few different things. Like since I've had my oral sessions, I've been getting quite a lot of visuals, and a lot of them, ever since I've been growing up, nature and animals have always been quite a big part of my life, and I've always found a lot of comfort in them. So recently I know I've been shown deer quite a lot, and when I went for a walk, I was sort of guided to follow the deer runs, and I found this skull, and as I held it, I was shown this image of this big, beautiful stag, sort of king of the forest. And so that's always sort of stayed with me. And last night, just before I woke up, I dreamt of this stag again. So this morning when I was walking the dog, I went down the road and I went into the field, and my dog stopped. He was ahead of me, and he looked behind at me, and I could tell he'd seen something. So I sort of went forward, and there's one deer, and then I saw a whole herd of deer there, stood there all looking at me with their fawns and everything, and they didn't run away. They sort of just stopped and watched, and they didn't move, but they were just so magnificent. And I haven't seen them there for a long time because people have been trying to block up their pathways and sort of put fences up and stop them, but they've created a new pathway I've seen that they've been going through. And I suddenly realized what I was meant to share today, and that's that even if sort of the pathways of the collective are blocked by any sort of AI or anything sort of malicious or anything like that, the love light will always come through, and it will always spread through all of us and through the world. So yes, that's what I felt I needed to share. And especially with nature, like even if we put concrete on something, the dandelions will still grow back, or it's nature will always prevail, and so will the love light within the grid. So thank you.
Oh, such a beautiful message, Jessica. And it's that beautiful counterbalancing, isn't it? How it's just that beautiful wave of love that just counterbalances all the inversions. And that is how we come through into this harmonic balancing of Gaia and the collective. So thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think that kind of flows on to Jeffrey, because Jeffrey is very connected with the stag energy. It is a representation of the beautiful divine awakened divine masculine energy. So I think that means that flows over to you, Jeffrey.
Thank you. I didn't think I'll be going next, but thank you, Jessica, because I'm connected to the stag, and where we are, where I go walking, we're in the countryside, and there's a lot of forest, and they are putting fences up everywhere, stopping their paths. And they're, like you said, they're AI, because they're not lovely little wooden fences. They're posts with all this wire. So when the deer are going to come running through, they can't even see the wires. So they're going to be running straight into them. And it's not nice. It's not nice at all. But I like what you said, because I've also, although I live in the country, I've done a lot of work in London. So we're quite close to London. So we drive, and you've got all these concrete flyovers. It's just metal and tarmac and concrete. And yet you'll always see a little dandelion or a little plant growing up on this flyover that's twice as high as houses. And it always used to make me smile driving into that concrete jungle, knowing that no matter what the AI or the inversions do, nature always can put a little smile on your face and always pushes through. And it's just amazing how, concrete this thick and metal in it and tarmac and iron and all that, and a little plant that you can just go and pluck and push through. So thank you for sharing that. And with the stag energies as well, with Siobhan knows and Claire knows. Was it last year, Claire? I think it was last year, wasn't it? I was guided to start connecting with the stag energies, and it was on Aurora's Roundtable. And actually, the stag presented itself to me. Obviously, it had fallen, been hit with a car, but this beautiful stag was in the ditch, covered over. You couldn't see it, you could smell it, because I was on my walks for weeks. And smell it, and I was getting downloads to connect with the stag, and I still didn't know how I was going to connect to the stag and get these antlers. And then till a neighbour pointed out what the smell was, and then I knew where it was, and then I found the stag, and I connected, and I've got the stag head now, just the last little bits coming off of it. So I was able to aid the stag, aid its spirit, and then I connected with it to ask if I could take its head, because I had to remove its head in a sacred way. So now I've got that stag there, and now I can connect to the stag, and Siobhan has been helping me connect with the stag more since that round table. So that's really beautiful. Thank you for that. But what I wanted to share today, I think, to do with like the connecting to Mother Earth and collective clearing and this harmony and all that, because this morning I really experienced it to the point where I almost didn't come on the round table, because I was, as Claire knows, I do a lot of collective clearing. So, and as Leon knows as well, when you sit in those places, it can be quite tough, really, really tough. So just last night and this morning, I was really feeling it to the point where I could feel this separation inside. And then whatever my environment is, say you guys or where I live, I'll just see that separation in everyone I come across, and I'll start making up the stories in my head. And it's very, like this morning, it was quite, I suppose, inner violence with myself and the torture and the torment. And so I realized for a while, with all the work I've done on myself and with everyone's help, and not just healing on myself, but when we go into sessions, especially I've worked with some of you guys and girls as well, that's healing as well. So I've realized for a while, I think the last few weeks or a month, that I'm not dealing with any type of inversion or infringement on myself. I feel like I'm coming into union to experience the organic shadow side of me. So I'm experiencing all the emotions, but in organic, in the shadow way, which I know need to be experienced, so I can get that togetherness, that union with myself. And as Claire says, with Gaia. So this morning, really tough, really, really tough. Didn't want to do my shields, or not sitting in gratitude. But I'm feeling at the same time, it's definitely organic, but it's not nice to feel it. But then, because I know it's not who I am, but I know I need to experience, and what's going on is not really who I am. There's another feeling of like, it really hurts, you know, in the heart that I'm experiencing this, and it's not nice. And I know that I'm then pulling my scenery in, more my environment, which is people I know, friends, family, my, you know, my loved ones like Claire and all that, and it's not very nice. So, but of lately, what's helped me is I realise, and this is how I know it's the organic shadow side, is because I feel my ego is like, before, to calm the ego down, I'd be doing 3D stuff to stimulate it, and that would keep it quiet. So anything like 3D exercise, anything, games, TV, junk food and all that. But now of late, I can't even do 3D exercises because it's not stimulating the mind. The mind's still loud. So I realised, especially, I think about the last month, that going for walks in nature, walking it out, drumming, as Siobhan's been helping me with a drum, played the singing bowl, started the didgeridoo, all these sort of organic things. And the mind seems to be like, okay, you're stimulating me in an organic way. Now you can do what you want with the heart. Go on, off you go with the heart. Now the heart can come through. So, and one of the biggest things that's keeping me going, and I know the mind is so happy with it, it's not just the physical. So when I go out, because I'm a collective clearer as well, I love setting intentions day and night, throughout the day. If I catch a little news clip that something happens in the world, I can focus my attention on that and channel that energy to there as well. You know, sources, love light. So when I go out walking, I might go out anything from 30 minutes to an hour. And the whole time I'm setting intentions for the collective of humanity, the children, the moon, the elements, the mystical, magical creature beasts, you know, all the sacred lands, the dragon lines, the sacred buildings, all everything that's been inversioned. And my mind is just so stimulated that it just, when I get back, it's like, you can be who you want to be organically, you know, it's got its nourishment. So I just wanted to share that because it feels, I don't know if you guys have felt that well. I feel like it's the organic shadow line is able to be, you know, all the emotions and feelings. You still feel anger and guilt and shame and everything at times, but, or greed or lust and all that. But it's organically, it's not infringed upon. But there's still a period I'm finding of working out, you know, because it could be confusing, still comparing it to the infringed ego and shadow side that I know I definitely had. So that helps me. And then obviously I'm doing that for, like Claire said, for the planet, But that's what I felt like this morning. It was like Leon said, it was hellfire. It's those two wolves, you know, and they're just totally at each other, tearing each other apart, and it's that separation inside. And then everything I see is this separation. I see everything as a hurdle. I see everything as an attack. I just see everything as, I don't want to do this. I'm not doing this. No, I'm not doing this. And it's all these horrible low emotions. But I'm in a position really now to feel that it's not nice to have them. So I can choose, but I have to then decide what I'm going to do to assist myself to come out of that. Whereas before, I'd just sit in it and sulk and feed it and feed it and feed it. And just to the point, I don't know what you say. I used to go on for a long time, didn't it, Claire, when I first met you? So that's what I just wanted to share, that about it feels organic, the shadow side. So it's a massive leap for me, and it means the more and it's allowing me as well with the mind. It's like the mind's going, right, go out and do this, set intentions, be of service to others, and it's getting its fulfillment. And then in some way I can give more, allow more in, give more out. So that's one of my roles, is setting the intentions for everyone and then focusing on certain things when they're made highlighted to me and all that. So that's what's keeping me going at the moment. And so I just wanted to share that. I wonder if you're all going through that yourself, but yeah. Thank you. It's an honour to be here. Nervous as well.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for being seen, Jeffrey, and sharing all that with everybody there, because it is hard to truly be seen. And, you know, you're sharing all of the different energies that you go through, because it's not all light, is it? And it's not all light and airy fairy. We have to go into that shadow energy. Yeah. And say, when we first met, we have, you know, been twin flames. It's not all how some people think that it's going to be. You come together and it's all just a sacred union instantly. You have to work at this. Yeah. You know, you have to work on this energy of becoming balanced within yourself. Still, we still work together to come balance within and also balance then without, and we aid each other, don't we, with that, and just understanding our different roles as well, because that was also hard for you, understanding your role, because we have different roles. I am more sort of like, I tend to do a lot, I'll go into meditation, for instance, whereas you don't feel as though you're like, well, I don't really get anything, I can't connect to my higher self sometimes, don't you? And I'm like, you do connect to your higher self, and you started realizing that more when you're walking, because your way of connecting with your higher self, nature, and setting those intentions that you set, and you set them for me as well, and basically collectively for those that would like to have those intentions in set for, is, I feel, a huge, it's like that beautiful divine masculine role of setting those intentions in place. When Jeffrey sometimes shares some of the intentions, I'm like, whoa, how did you do all that? You know, I'm just thinking, wow, it's just sometimes it goes over my head, because he set so many intentions just on his hour walk. I mean, if he told you all of the intentions that he set, it's just so beautiful, and it's so important as well to have to share those intentions, set those intentions. So yes, thank you.
I just add to that, because the walk is my mind. That's so the mind and that, and then it allows me to set the intentions for everyone. So that's what keeps me going. Yeah. And it's meant to be. I've worked out what works for me. So like the meditation, I mean, I do get stuff in meditation, but it's like there's infinite ways how you can connect to your higher self. So when I used to think you got to sit in meditation, I'm like, but deep down, yes, I will get things. But because the mind lets go, then my heart can connect more. So I've found, like with exercising, there's infinite things to keep fit. Find the one that you like, isn't it? Rather than you've got to do that one. So that walking is my thing. It's the exercise, it's the letting go. The mind's organically being stimulated, and then my heart can come out a little bit more, and it flows, and I just get lost. Well, not lost, but I just wander off and walk for miles and connect in. So that's the way I connect in, yeah. But like I said this morning, it was I almost wasn't here. But the walk, I knew I had to do the walk, but before I had all these tools, but I'd never pick them up. I'd always wait till I come out of it and then go, I could have done this. But now I feel like I want to as well, pick these tools up and use them, even if I'm like a child going to the supermarket, I'm kicking and screaming. But as long as I can just get out there and start it, then it just flows and it comes back. But yeah.
And also for you, it was learning about the differences between what you were going through on an individual and actually what you were going through on a collective level. Because
the collective's big, isn't it?
Yeah. Once you mastered that, of checking in of what's collective and what's yours, that was a really big release for you, wasn't it? You really then did, because you're not overthinking things. Big thing when we think, why am I going through this again? I thought I'd already done the work.
Yeah.
It's not you're doing it for the collective, but it'll come through you within things that you have experienced. So that was the thing that you really did have to work with, didn't you?
It was big because I'll just touch on this before I let you guys finish. So going on about, so say something, let's just say, for instance, something's happening in Australia, like a load of violence, collective violence. So because I'm a collective clearer and my role is to go into dark places, I feel that violence with all my senses, feelings. It's horrible. So it could be violence, it could be anything that collective's going through. You know what they go through, just some horrible things. So when I first started doing it and didn't understand it, it doesn't show me a load of people in Australia being horrible or disgusting. It shows it with the scenery I know in this incarnation. So I play it out with my friends, my family, my characters. I'm going goosebumpy sounding. So when it first happened, there's some horrible things coming through me, and I'm feeling them with my body and all my senses. And I'm thinking, this is me. I'm some sort of monster. And with Claire's help, and everyone's help, really, it took so much time to realise, although I still feel it with all my senses, I know it's not mine. It's still horrible. But at the start, it was so confusing because I felt I was all these feelings and emotions because it would play it out with my people I knew in this incarnation. But with Claire's help and everyone's help and everyone's healings and watching other people's videos and listening to all you beautiful souls and all that, it's helped me to come out of it. But I still feel it and experience it. It's my role. But there's just an understanding, I can be feeling really crappy, but no, it's not mine. But it really does help, doesn't it, Claire?
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful part. Thank you. Okay, and Wakafa, would you like to go to next?
Can I just say that was the most beautiful, divine showing of how twin flames work. Guys are gorgeous. Right.
She slaps me into place.
Sorry?
She slaps me into place.
Oh, bless.
Yeah,
if that's her role, that's her role.
Her role, yeah. Thank you.
But it's beautiful to see how both the divine masculine and feminine work together, because we've both got different ways of working. And like you've said, you know, I feel like the feminine is very much sitting in the energies, meditation, go into our cave, go into our womb space, figure out what the minutiae, gritty energy that's irritating us, whereas the masculine is very much, let me do something. But that in itself is a meditation, because you get lost in your work. And as you get lost in your work, you're just channeling through, you'll become an open channel. So I think that's absolutely beautiful to show how the masculine and the feminine work. And I think it's key, because I'm going off tangent, this isn't what I was going to talk about, but we as women, I feel we need to realize that we are very heavily in our masculine. I've come from a corporate background. This was never what I saw my life to be. I was, shall we say, on the wrong side. I used to be a pharmaceutical sales rep. So I've come from one extreme to the balanced view, shall we say. So very heavily in my masculine, and it's taken so long and so many courses, shall I say, to come back into my feminine and understand what that is. And even just coming into my feminine is very dark. I'm a fractal of Kali Ma, so I sense what isn't inorganic in the darkness quite strongly. And you know, being in the corporate environment, I didn't realize that's what I was sensing constantly was in it. And I think for healers and empaths, I think this is the hardest thing for us, is trying to find balance when we're sensing so much going on that isn't ours. But because we're in these systems, it's how do we come out of them, or how do we be in them but be in our organic flow? And I think that's been my question for doing all the auras, doing the raw reikis. And weirdly, and I never thought I'd come back into the commercial world. Somehow I'm in Vietnam, I'm part of my husband's furniture business, doing all the stuff that I never thought I'd do again. But I have to be in this space now. I see it, because I have to bring my organic flow into these spaces, because how else are these spaces going to shift and change if we're not in them and changing them and become and shift and taking the inversions out of them, if that makes sense. So I went off tangent there, but I was going to mention that I saw a deer. I had an aura session yesterday, and for some reason I saw a deer, and I had no idea why. The client didn't mention it, so I just want to put that out there. So that must be important. And I've touched upon it already. What Jeffrey mentioned is we're going through so much. Like, this has probably been it's been a very unbalanced week for me, shall I say. And since I've started doing my podcasts and understanding how the inversions work and where they may sit in me, I've realized if I'm doing the work and I'm trying to understand it and trying to clear it for the collective, then I'm going to be affected by it. So say, it only dawned on me this morning as I was walking. Funny enough, Jeffrey, same thing. I was walking. I don't usually walk because I'm in Ho Chi Minh City. It's not a walkable space. It's not the pictures you see like in Vietnam. It's very busy. It's built up. And we're in one of the most sort of congested areas. But I happened to drop my child off at a different campus or school, so I walked back. I was walking back, I realized I don't think I'm in my organic time. I am in my organic time, but I think I'm in my husband's, if that makes sense. Because we're together, we're in union. He's had aura sessions, he's in his flow, he is organic, but because he's still in the commercial world, he's still going to go into them, and other people who are connected to him via that are going to connect into him. So, and there's work. It's work, isn't it? We have to, it's a constant sort of shifting and changing and releasing and seeing the layers that sit within us. And one of the main things I realized when I left the UK, oh, here we go. Sorry about that. When I left the UK and I came here was very similar to what Jeffrey said, was the monster in my head. And it wasn't even my phrase, it was my husband's phrase, monster in my head. Because the energy is a lot lighter, even though I'm in Ho Chi Minh City, the energy is a lot lighter than London. I didn't feel the resistance. There's a resistance I felt in London trying to do something. And I wasn't in the countryside, but I wasn't also in too much of a build-up area, but it was still, I felt the resistance. And what I've noticed being here is the monster in my head, the voices, the self-criticisms, the just getting things done seems to be a lot, but I don't think it is. I think it's just what it's what I've built around me because of my conditioning from being in the UK. So I'm in a place where I'm having to sort of drop the conditionings and realize the flow is actually a lot easier here. But also at the same time, I'm having to release what is connected into me via the UK, because I was born in Newcastle. And so those energies are still within me, because I feel like the inversions of the land may also affect you depending on your birth and how you came through. And then I also have the inversions of my mother, because as an immigrant, she had a lot of hardship when she came here. And I have these memories, and they're not my memories, and I know they're my mom's memories coming up about how hard it was. You know, she got varicose veins when she gave birth to me. Varicose veins, and I know that was just negative energies coming through, sort of negative portals in the feet. I just know that now. And weirdly, I've come to Ho Chi Minh City and I was experiencing exactly the same thing. My feet aching constantly, but that was more to do with the negative magic in the ground due to, you know what, shall we just say. So, and, you know, as a collective worker, that was part of what I had to clear, was the negative energies in these built up areas where all the foreigners live. So, and that was such an important lesson, because I was in the worst possible place I could be. And thank God for Claire and Jeffrey, you know, both offered a session. I took it with Claire, and she said it's collective work. And I realized, and after that session, literally had no sort of, you know, you usually get an energy hang up, or you feel tired or drained, or you know, the energy's processing through. None of that. It was very clear. It was literally, it just went, and it just showed how much, as a healer, especially as a collective healer, you are just gonna pick up or sense things that might be happening somewhere else. And we've got to get sort of better into tuning into, actually, is that us or is that them? And I'm just going to say the last bit. Sorry, I feel like taking up a lot of space. The last bit, what I spent after doing Aura and Ra certificate, I've been a healer for the last 7 years, but the modality I had been learning before that was infringed, and it was channeling through a false entity. Long story short, you can find it on my page. I'm not going to go into it, but the point from that was, sorry. So the point from that was, there was a lot of sabotage in my field. So my focus after having all my aura sessions was to find my organic flow. And I would literally sit in meditation. It didn't take, no matter how long it took me, I would not start my day unless I felt grounded. I felt my heart was open and my head was clear. Because one of the things I found in the UK was the head fog. I'd get this mind fog quite a lot. And it's one of the things that I got before I left as well. And And I've always thought it was normal. I thought that mind fog was normal until obviously doing all these energy work, and I'm realizing actually it's actually something in the UK energies, whatever it is, it's there and it affects certain people. So and I think basically people who carry a lot of light or are not as, shall we say, compromised. I don't know if that's the right word or not. So what was my point? So just to summarize, I spent literally an hour, if not more, in meditation every morning. And you know how Aurora does this thing where she gets into an organic flow and she will shift until she finds that flow? I was literally doing that. And I remember that this morning. I thought, I haven't done that in ages. Let me do that. And as soon as I did it, I was like, you're not in your organic flow, Akafa. That's why you're not flowing. Like I was literally just stagnant like this, because I've become part of a company. Although it's my husband's company, it's not, shall we say, organic. Because it's to do with money, which is inverted systems, there's going to be things to clear through. So it's almost like I've gone into this energy that needs to be cleared. And that's why I've been finding it hard to clear, because it's not of me, it's of this entity that we've created between us. So yes, so welcome to the healer's world and trying to find balance. It's an everyday task. I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you for listening to me.
Beautiful, yes, thank you. And we think that we've just finished one part of the work, and then something else comes they kind of give us a bit of release for maybe a week if we're lucky, and then something else will come in, and that we know that we have that is our role, and we do so much collective work within clearing that. I know you do much work, Bhagavath, thank you. And just to touch on the point that you were making about the portals in the feet, I think I ought to mention that I know personally, as an aura practitioner and Reiki, the majority of clients that we find have portals or negative AI inversion technology blocks basically within the feet, the legs. This is all to stop you one, moving forward on your organic timeline, two, to hold you dense as well, and also it stops that connection of you connecting into Gaia, because how I mentioned in the beginning about this harmony that we should have with Gaia, when these portals and inversions are placed upon us, that stops. It doesn't fully stop the connection to Gaia, but it's harder, it's sort of like it doesn't flow how it should do. So this is why having, clearing these portals, closing these portals down, having organic portals, that's completely different. But the negative portals, making sure also when you do connect in with in meditation, to close your portals, your organic portals down when you are walking along the land, because I do have other clients that don't realize that they need to close down their portals basically if they've been in meditation. Closing down your energy is very important, because otherwise, you imagine you're walking along, you might come across a very heavy dense area that can connect in with you if you have your portals open. So I just wanted to mention that about the portals and feeling heavy, and how we kind of, that was one thing that Gaia shared with me this morning when she was kind of showing me the collective, us as the pillars of like connecting in with all of our chakras and balancing and sort of really connecting in with that crystalline grid. So it is a key part as well of this harmonic beautiful energy. So yes, Leon, would you like to go next, brother, please? Rumi?
Yeah. I got 3 things to say. One, yesterday on a walk at night, deers were crossing my path, 2 or 3 of them. And I was thinking the same thing. How sad that these animals do have to, keep hiding themselves and escaping humans. We, more or less voluntarily, have been reducing their living space, all the streets and the digital networks What do we know about the effects of all these digital networks on animals and their energy systems and their own psychology, behaviors, and evolution? How these animals bond, the family groups themselves, how do they deal with stress, with trauma? I mean, these people must be scared all the time of humans. All the sounds from airplanes. I live next to a military airbase. So we have hardcore equipment going up here. And then all the lorries and trucks on the road and cars and people walking with dogs at night and the day. I mean, these animals must be scared for their lives all the time. That's why they usually come out only at night. So this is really sad. And the other thing I wanted to say was my journey to the heart of Germany a week ago or so. I was guided to activate some ancient henges here, but older than Stonehenge, some thousands of years older. One is the oldest solar observatory, at least as far as the experts know. Supposedly 7,000 years ago, that thing was already in operation. I was guided there and did some activation, cleansing. And the other henge, also older than Stonehenge, it's also, I think, much bigger. And you might have seen the entry on my blog. It's called Elephant. This is where I describe this journey. I was guided to connect with the place, and I think another lifetime I might have been there. It was both a ritual place, so the ceremonies must have taken place there. People were buried there, maybe even sacrificed, although I did not pick up any negative energies in that place. It felt really high vibrating, in spite of all the dead bodies that were buried there. And on this journey, I also was guided to visit a specific museum of prehistory, where you will find the skeletons of ancient elephants that used to roam Germany and Europe tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of years ago. At the same time when humans were around, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens sapiens, Homo neanderthalensis. And if you think about the ancient Earth back then, no cell phones, no 5G, no satellites, no Bitcoin. How could humans survive for who knows how long? We don't even know how old humanity is, where humanity really comes from, and what kind of human branches of the tree of evolution, came. The experts only find pieces, snippets of information, artifacts, and then they concoct this big story of evolution. Then they talk in their circles and say, well, we found this in our country, we found that there, okay, so we make a theory, and now we have all the evidence we need, and this is now official truth. And since there's no other evidence for other species, well, this cannot be true. And if you then think of the giants, the reigns of giants, this totally contradicts their theories, and, well, what do we make of this? Should be ignored, should be destroyed, should be discarded, So history writing works. So now about these elephants and humans back then. Think of the Ice Age, maybe 13,000 years ago. Humans and the megafauna, especially here in Europe, were very present. How did they survive all these changes? It's amazing. I mean, these were close clans, supposedly. People had to rely on each other because the human population in Europe was very sparse. You had to be experts, close-knit networks. People had to rely on each other. They must have had some hardcore values, bonding, of caring for each other, specialists of hunting, fishing, communicating with the land. That's what we got in hypnosis sessions, Claire and Jeffrey, about humans connecting with, let's say, the animal keepers or the lords of the animals, the spiritual guardians of animal species, for instance, elephants, so that the people, the shamans, the seers, would connect to those spirits, maybe in a ritual, in a ceremony, or in a specific location, volcanoes, sacred stones, whatever. They would meet these guardians of the spirits, whom they would ask to provide them with food, Where can we find the next group of elephants or animals which we need to survive? And then they would make a deal with the spirit guardian. he would tell them where to find these animals, but he would also instruct them how many they were allowed to take or what they would have to do in exchange. And then the deal was done, and the hunting party went out and found these animals. And they only took what they needed. That's how they maintained balance. Now, according to the experts, all humans killed the megafauna. Well, it's always an easy explanation to blame everything on humans. We just don't know. People did kill animals to survive, but we don't know anything, really. Maybe it was also nature. It was at the end of the Ice Age, the world shifted dramatically. Lots of inundations, sometimes droughts. And if there are droughts, animals die out on their own. The flora changes, the fauna changes, the landscape itself changes. Lots of inundations. You know, the earth always moving. Then people are forced to leave habitats. Animals die out, will migrate to other places, and people have to follow them or cannot find them anymore. So it's many factors how megafauna might have disappeared. And then at the museum, then you will find these life-size skeletons and reproductions of those animals and elephants. I mean, 4 meters tall. I mean, that's the foot of the elephant, and you stand next to it, and it's bigger, double the size than you, and wow! And you think of this wonderful creature. I mean, think of this energy. You stand in front of such a majestic animal. It's a fierce protector if you attack it, but it could be the friend of a life if you just know how to make peace with them, if you learn how to communicate with them. I mean, there's so many beautiful examples in India or in Africa, people being friends with animals and animals accepting humans into their groups. Family. This is great. Humans can work and always blaming humans. Oh, you are the destroyers of animals and nature. To some degree, yes, but it's not our system. You know, we have not created these systems. We're not allowed to be natural. We're not allowed to be organic, really. And I spoke prayers in that museum for all those animals who were hunted down, or were exterminated, or that black. It was sad for me to just remember that those animals existed. They were families too. For whatever reason, they no longer are here. Their descendants on this planet are still here and not in a good shape, like so many other animals. We did clearings and healings in hypnosis sessions about the whole organic realm, the elements, the animals, and many also native peoples who were still in tune with nature. To this day, some of them are still. Which brings us to another point, the shaman. There's a female shaman on display in the same museum. They discovered her in Germany. According to the experts, she must have lived some thousands of years ago, maybe 5,000 years, maybe more. She was a young woman, actually. She supposedly died from an infection in her teeth, in her gums, blood poisoning. And they found all these ritual objects on her from animals which are not usually part of a diet. So they conclude by comparing this with ritual artifacts from Siberian shamans that she must have been a very important female figure in her community. With her were also buried the remains of a child, which according to DNA analysis must have been her own. Yes, I had to stand in front of that, you know, the display case. I was just stuck there, and I was crying. I don't know why. I felt this sadness in my heart, in my head, in my throat, and I just was standing there and crying. I was praying for that woman, for her child, and for her people, and for all these animals on display, for all the people who disappeared for whatever reasons. Because it's a bit sad if they are here on display. They should be in the ground where they belong, you know. They should not be taken from the rust places. And all these people whose lives were ended suddenly, they could not accomplish what they had to accomplish. And that lady was the case in point. It's what the energy I sensed. She did not want to leave that planet. She still had something to do. But I think that I helped in I helped in enabling her to move to another place. And that includes all the elephant energies in that place too. It was a very powerful encounter, I must say. And the third and maybe final thing I would like to comment on is ascension about the Earth. Some of you might have read my entries about the White Star and the White Tara, the ascension of the Earth, and the Saturn story, which is a very big story about the evolution of humanity. And you might have, no, I haven't sent you that post yet. I'll do that later, about the evolution of humanity. We got this information in our hypnosis sessions with Claire and Jeffrey, and I'm about to put this specific information together, how humanity actually came into existence, how it migrated through a solar system from one planet to another and then made it to Earth. It's a big story for another session, maybe for next roundtable, who knows. But just in brief, we were told that the Earth is again lighting up. As in the past, she had to dim herself for an evolutionary experiment. And that experiment includes Earth. Earth and the Sun do have a covenant of sorts. They are the same energy. They are the same, let's say, cosmo-creative force, which some call Sophia. And in order for humanity to come to Earth, Earth had to dim her energy, her light. So she had a descent of sorts. It was an organically controlled experiment for humanity to be seated on Earth and to evolve into organic life forms. That includes all other organic life forms. Now the catch is, when you do that, when you decrease your light quotient, you lower your frequency, which allows access. Well, the AI force can access. The reptilian forces of a not so nice kind and other alien players can enter Earth and enter into agreements with later humanity. Because if this humanity does not know anything about its true nature, if it's no longer protected by Earth, then all kinds of interferences, especially on the mental place, can take place. This is how the archons work. They trigger the human mind and make themselves a home in the human mind, take over the host. And we know all about that, most likely. Now, this experiment has been going on for a very long time. And as you know, we are part of that process to undo all the inversion and to help resuscitate and resurrect the Earth and all organic life forms that choose to be on this journey of so-called ascension. Because not all of us are going there. Some of us, I say humanity, us, have chosen a different way, and this way is being offered to them through the AI contracts, the digital contracts, with the World Economic Forum contracts, and you know all about that too. It's very clear where this journey for humanity is going. This is a non-organic timeline, and none of us here in this room wants and will be part of that, most likely not. We feel this is totally wrong and anti-natural. So this is the other choice humanity has, the second timeline, the organic timeline. Some humans who will choose to stay on an ascended, higher vibrating, three-dimensional Earth. And then there will be another group of humans that will choose to go to an even higher vibrating place, which some call 5D Earth, or might leave their human existence totally behind. And I sent you the links about that information. You might have read it already. The so-called divine intervention. And humanity going to the stars. And becoming also ambassadors. I mean, the ascended humans becoming ambassadors of an ascended humanity on the 3D Earth. That was the most incredible information I got in our hypnosis sessions, I must say. Ascended humans becoming the ambassadors of an enlightened humanity, of an ascended Earth, still in 3D, but rather more in tune with their true nature after having had this personal encounter with the divine, which we spoke about, Jeffrey and Claire, this activation, this golden white impulse from within all humans ready to receive this impulse so that for the first time in their life, they might have a direct experience of God on Earth, knowing that God is an ever-present intelligence. You can talk to God at all times, making all religion superfluous, you know. If you as a human being know that you are a God in a sense, as an aspect of God, a self-expression form of God, and you know that the person you're speaking to right now is the same, and that, you know, applies to all human beings on this planet. And by extension, this applies to all organic life on this planet, and by cosmic extension to all life and self-expression forms in the universe. So this is an ascended humanity, but still on a 3D planet. And these people then could some way decide to leave this planet and visit the stars, where they would get in contact with other higher vibrating star peoples and civilizations. Because this ascended humanity would be guided to connect with ascended civilizations. This is the most incredible information that we've received in the session, I would say. The way for humanity to go on a higher vibrating trajectory of evolution. Because these ascended humans, the so-called avatars for humanity, would also be in contact with other ascended members from other star peoples. So this means we of humanity, we speak on behalf of them, and we have the best intentions for them at heart. Now comes another star civilization. They have the same idea. Well, we also care for our people, so what can we do now? What kind of deal can we make so that you have a benefit, we have the benefit? An ascended dialogue between high vibrating and benefit. Might sound very far-fetched, but it feels pretty good. That's what I wanted to say.
Beautiful. And I have to say, it is a total honor to facilitate Aura sessions for you. And Jeffrey and I have learned a huge amount of knowledge from the 10 Aura sessions with you. Absolute phenomenal expansion of consciousness when we connect with you. So yes, thank you, brother.
And thanks again, Jeffrey, Claire. Thanks once again.
Yes, and also I love how you mentioned about the collective of animals, because this is the thing as well. There is so many different collectives. It's not just the collective of humanity, it's the collective of animals, birds, sea life, the magical mystical creatures. There are so many different collectives that are part of Gaia and connecting into the crystalline grid. So it is part of their healing process as well, of what they're going through is a very key important part. And actually what I was guided to share sort of towards the end, I'm going to share now, because it does link in with your experience within the museum energy. And what I was guided to share was how the relics that have been basically stolen from key sacred sites and placed in these museums under very dark, dense energy, they hold light, they hold energy within them. Whether it be such as the shaman that Leon mentioned with this, they still hold that spark of source, like a fractal of them within that museum. You can find various different, for instance, like guardians of certain places that are within relics. These are taken and placed into museums. And I'm just going to share a little bit of information. When I first realized this, where I went last year to Corfu, and I was guided to go to the Temple of Archimedes. Now, when I was asking the locals how to get there, no one had even heard of this place. I was just astounded. There was a little broken sign and you couldn't even get inside. And this was the whole reason why I'd kind of been guided there. I did take my beautiful family, but I knew that I was meant to be doing some work there, because it is on the Apollo Athena line. And actually Apollo and Athena meet within this temple of Archimedes, and it was a very key sacred space. Now I couldn't get on to the site, so I sat there in meditation and I expanded my energy out within this area, and I collected what I needed to collect, connected to what I needed to connect to, and then I was guided that you now to go to the museum within the Corfu town. So I walked in the very hot, walked into the heat, and I walked all the way into the museum. And the moment I walked in, and there was a beautiful it's like a pediment, you know, it was Medusa, and many energies feel as though it's like Archimedes and Medusa's energies. And a lot of people are guided to believe that Medusa is more of a darker, you know, energy. That's what we're led to believe. A negative, should I say, a negative energy, whereas she is just a beautiful, organic shadow, darkness energy. She's that beautiful serpent energy that we can connect to. And when I walked into this museum, and I walked up the steps, and I saw her energy on this pediment that was used to be on the top, the pinnacle point of the temple. And I looked into her eyes, and I felt this instant connection with her. And that was the first time I'd really gone into a museum and connected energetically to any relics. And I felt this instant first, it's like a relief, like a coming home, just this beautiful energy, this wave of emotion came over me. And then I felt the energy come inside of me, and I was like, and it really took me by surprise. And this energy went into my sacred womb space, and I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, like what's just happened? And I stood there just in full awe and amazement that I'd connected with this relic, and then I just received the energy into my womb space. I'm like, wow. And then I was told, you know, I've been waiting for you. And I'm like, wow, okay. And so then, since then, I've been to different museums. Jeffrey and I went to a certain museum, and we both connected in with a talk energy, and both at the same time we felt the energy of the talk release from that object, that relic, and it came within us. And we also recently, we've just been to London, the British Museum there, and also we did London and Paris in 2 days. We went to the Louvre Museum and connected in with certain ancient relics that we were guided to connect with. Now, one particular relic that we connected with was a guardian of a certain sacred area, and the emotion that came over, I was really took back, wasn't I? Just the emotion, we both were, and it was just like a thank you. It's like their consciousness is within the relics in these museums. It's there for us to connect with, to aid any trapped soul fractal energies from those museums. They are placed in this dense sort of dark, like negative magic energy. So let's release their soul fractal pieces, allow them to go back to being the guardians of where they're meant to be, the guardians of Gaia, because this is the time that we're meant to do it. The time is now to release all of those soul fractal pieces. So yeah, I just wanted to share that of understanding about how these relics have been taken. And just lastly, we have had a session as well linked in with relics, how they took them to the dark moon. I don't know if Jeffrey wanted to share that, but it was Jeffrey's session actually, and we went to the dark side of the moon. And within the dark side of the moon, there was various different relics that they had been cloning. They've been cloning soul fractal pieces of these relics and using them for their own like purposes, basically. And so we did a lot of work within that session with releasing many of the dark inversions there. And this particular one that was mainly released was the Ankh, wasn't it, Jeffrey? It was the Ankh that was really infringed upon. And so yes, I just thought I would share that information, because that's what they wanted to share with me, of understanding about relics also have beautiful energy within them. So yes. And Tiffany, would you like to go next?
Thank you everyone. That's so amazing about the deer, because I had a visitation of 4 deer across the street from me a couple of nights ago, and I really noted it. And in a hypnosis session one time, the stag came as the representation of nature. So he was like the head of nature, and there was a spokesperson for nature. And then in another channeling session I did myself, I got the clear message, follow the deer trods. So I liked hearing what you said, Jessica, that you were following the deer runs. And as you were speaking, I was thinking, yeah, it's, because I didn't really understand what that message meant, follow the deer trods. But I think I understand it better now, which is that counterintuitive back door. Like you were saying, Leon, that they have to go different places, and we put up fences and they can't go that way, so they go around it. And that's what we're doing as light workers, as light warriors. We're navigating these times, and there's always a back door, there's always a side alley that we can take to circumnavigate the negative timeline, which we wholeheartedly do not consent to. So I think I understand that message a little bit more now, and I'm excited to follow, maybe quite literally follow the deer trods and start to track those in my local area and see where they may take me. In that channeling, in that vision, I got told by the deer to follow the deer trods, and then it led me into an old oak forest, and I got the message to work with the trees in a more conscious way. So there's something about the oak and the stag and the deer that is very prevalent, I think, particularly to these lands, the UK that I currently reside in. I just wanted to share that, but thinking about these counterintuitive countermeasures that we can take, we are faced with a very well organized system that's had a stranglehold on this planet for aeons of time. You have to take your hat off to them. Really, they know what they're doing, and they are very well organized. And unfortunately, because we have a slight back foot, having woken up maybe later in life, being stuck in the false matrix for most of our early years, a lot of us have had issues around money or abundance, or finding the resources that are needed in order to manifest this new reality, co-create this new reality. So it can seem almost impossible sometimes. Like I get that overwhelm too, Jeffrey. That organic shadow, that as you describe it, it's hard. It's not an easy ride that we've signed up for, and it can seem overwhelming because they're so well organized and they have seemingly more resources than we do. But what I've been working with recently is water consciousness. So I got a really clear message on New Year's Day to work with the water, and I got shown how to make a silver essence that you can put into waterways, bodies of water, to cleanse and restore and regenerate the waterways, because we can program water in the same way that we can program crystals. And if you think about the implications of that, it's truly profound. If we can actually work with the water in a conscious way as a collective of light workers, that could be a very, very effective secret weapon, because it's connecting the whole planet. So as we work to restore and regenerate the waterways, not only on a physical level, but also on this energetic level, working with essences, working with sound, working with intention, working with song, these subtle ways of working with the etheric realms that perhaps the other side overlook or diminish. They don't think that we have the power. They don't think we have the abilities that really we do. And so I think not overlooking that the subtle ways that we're working on a multidimensional level on the etheric realm are so powerful, and perhaps even more powerful than working on the sort of more 3D physical ways to heal and restore and regenerate, both within our own bodies and within the land. So I just wanted to share that as that counterbalancing energy that we hold, because we're working with harmonic science. We're working with the true organic science of Gaia. We're working with vibrational remedies, with etheric design, etheric architecture, all of these unseen realms, which have deep, deep power and deep, deep strength. And I think maybe we can overlook our power because we feel, overwhelmed by the 3D reality that surrounds us in this maelstrom quite often. Yeah, that's what I wanted to share. So if you wanted to, anyone that's listening or anyone on the Roundtable that hasn't come along, like, do come along and visit in Somerset. We're about 20 minutes from Glastonbury Tor. We've got a stone circle built in a Celtic cross, and we're growing medicinal herbs, working with harmonic science to work with the land, work with the fae, work with the nature spirits, and now really bringing in this piece about water consciousness and how we're growing the herbs in order to not only amplify and uplift the potency of the herbs, but also to cleanse and restore this particular part of the land, because I see what we're doing on the land here as again a counterbalancing, counterattack, counterintuitive reaction to what's happened in the Tor and to this lands on a negative infringement level. So been working with Claire and Jeffrey on building this etheric grid, and it's really exciting to sort of share that love and energy out on the wider collective today. So thank you. It's Earthlight Physic Garden on Instagram or earthlight.uk website.
Beautiful, sister. Yes, and it's been our total honor, hasn't it, Jeffrey, to be working with you in this sacred place. It really is. I totally recommend going and aiding, going and connecting with you and the energies there. Absolutely phenomenal. So thank you. The water is key. Those sacred birthing waters of Gaia is total key. And obviously everybody's been connecting with the stag energy, and it was quite interesting that my higher self said Jessica's to go first. I said, okay, we know now why Jessica went first, because she introduced us to the beautiful deer and stag energy. Thank you, Jessica. Absolutely phenomenal. And then Tiffany explaining about how the stag is connected in with nature. So yeah, well, obviously many animals are, but you shared that beautifully. Thank you, Tiffany. Okay, Siobhan, would you like to go next? Well, last.
Yeah, my gosh, I'm blown away the connection today, because some of us here, we don't know each other, we haven't maybe spoken with each other, or so we don't really know, individually who we are, what we're about. But like, to come into this space today and, like you said, to talk about the stag energy, it's unbelievable how we have this commonality, this common thread, even though we're all located uniquely and differently throughout. And it's the commonality of the lineage of our ancestors, of this connection with the land and with our genealogy, that is bringing us through these bloodlines of connections. And I hope my internet is staying stable. Sometimes I'm getting an unstable message on my internet, but it's just bringing together what everybody said. We have the consciousness of the animals are coming to us, and this is a question sometimes I get asked by my clients when they're struggling to maybe come into their awakening as well. And regardless of where we're living, they're wondering, how are we working through this energy work? What is this term we use as energy work? And Jeffrey was talking about it in relation to the shadow work, and the commonality of seeing the signs, looking, hearing, observing, noticing the collective energy when we're walking. That part of the energy work is that. Is my internet going? You're muted at the moment. I can't hear you.
Yeah, just slightly. We just lost you just slightly. The last thing that you said.
Okay. What did I say? So yeah, so the animals, like the animals are speaking to us. This is the thing, like the consciousness, the collective consciousness of the animals and nature are speaking to us. And like, always as a child, I felt in my heart like it was so cruel. We're so cruel to animals, and to me, they were always like just as equal to us, if not even better than us, because they have this innocence and a pure heart that most humans are disconnected from or disassociate from themselves when we grow up from children into adults, we become disconnected. And that is part of the separation that Jeffrey was talking about as well. So we feel separated from nature, and we are nature ourselves. I feel we are biology. So when we are part of nature, then we become separated, but the animal never did. And so how do we work through our process of energy work? Like us, to be where we are, what we've achieved, this particular small group and many, many other people that we know, we're doing the energy work and we've had to commit to it on a long-term basis, and we've had to do the energy work. And there's a part of trying to look to see what are the signs around us. And to me, the animal collective are always trying to communicate to us, and they're always trying to give us signs. And so when we're out in nature and a bird hops in front of us, or a little robin lands in the tree right beside you, you know, the first thing some people do now is take out the phone and take a picture of the bird. But what is more ideal, perhaps, how do we connect with the bird is by looking at him and perhaps being respectful of his space and inviting him into our space and acknowledging that the bird's existence is here and that he's perhaps communicating with us and delivering maybe a message or a sign to us. So I always feel that nature is always trying to respond to us. The birds, the animals, the trees, the wind, the elements, they're always trying to continuously communicate and actually reach out to us with their intelligence. And what I'm talking about is more like it's the quantum field, and this is the quantum realm of intelligence of nature, which we are trying to reconnect back into. So when Leon spoke about Germany and the land and bringing back the hinges online, this is so important because in Ireland we have a lot of our own megalithic sites, our dolmens. We have what we call portal tombs, and we use a lot of in energy work. We talk about portals a lot. What are portals? You have good and bad portals. So I know throughout the land of Ireland, UK, Wales, and Scotland, and the Germanic land as well, which is interconnected with the Celtic bloodline, which it can be the origin of Germany of some of the Celtic bloodlines. If we understand our history, and of course our history has been skewed, so we have these amazing sites, and they're all aligned to the constellations, to the stars. And so that part of this connection to Gaia and quantum energy that we're re-remembering, our ancestral knowledge and the ancestral wisdom that's embedded deep into the land, hence why the artifacts were excavated, removed, and put into these square boxes in museums and put into square buildings that we live in and we go to visit and we work in, and the square energy containing our energy. And as we know, squares, when we find them in oral hypnosis sessions, we find a black cube, which is inverted technology. So it's all a constant attack and infringement on it. And so we're reshaping that within the quantum realm. And that's where we are now. We are in the quantum field. And when we're connecting to nature and connecting into the land, we're also connecting quantumly out to the stars, to the constellations. And we're acting like a two-way system. We're bringing in this energy one way, we're channeling it out on the other side. And so we're in this quantum field. But to me, it's so important, like, to always get the message across to people. I have a number of different animals in my life that come to me. I have a fox that comes out my bedroom window. He passes at nighttime. Sometimes he starts, I don't know if you've heard of fox at nighttime, but they make this really high-pitched sound. But when this fox comes to me, I know that my divine sister, Goddess Bridget, is talking to me. And that was a learning process for me, and it's all a deep learning process. But now when fox comes to me, my God, is he bringing me a strong message to pay attention, to look, to listen. and to get up and do something. Usually Bridget is saying, Siobhan, come on, start doing, there's an energy work, you need to get something done. But the fox energy is so beautiful and so playful. And when he runs across our path, if we're driving down the road, that fox crossed your path for a reason. And that is, when it comes to nature and Gaia, like we have to start recognizing when the animals are talking to us. And unfortunately, some people will judge what I'm saying as being very woohoo or new agey. But that is what our ancestors did. Like talking, going back to where Jeffrey started with the conversation, and to Leon, and to all of Jessica, Tiffany, are all noticing the signs the animals are coming to them. And just even as part of that, I know that as people who, when we go into the quantum realms, when we're doing our aura sessions and our hypnosis sessions, and our clients come to us, sometimes their pets, their domesticated pets, especially the cat who's turned up, often their cat will come into the sessions and they'll be with the client energetically within the session, and they'll be traveling with them through the realms as their guides or as their protectors or their guardians. And so for us to make this reconnection to respecting the animal that we see around us, and maybe even the animal within ourselves, to recognize that we're part animal, the good part of the animal, but to reconnect to that source intelligence. And to me, the animal, for example, the fox, I do love fox, and the fox has had a big influence, not to mention the stag energy, but the fox, there is also a fox constellation in the sky. When we look to the constellations, there's all the various different animal constellations, and there is an intelligence, a reason for that as well. And so the more that we open, like a lot of people, our clients, they want to know what star planets do they come from, what connections are they connected to Sirius, Pleiades, but also there's Taurus, there's Alpha Centauri, like there's so many more, and the Fox constellation, the Dog Star, and so many more. So that is the connection of the energy. It's just so pure and so beautiful. So I feel when we bring the power of the animals into our lives like that, really connect in with all of the roundedness of messages that the animals, the intelligence they have to bring to us, which is our own personal. And the other thing, I don't want to keep on talking because this I could keep talking. I've got the floor. So it's just this part when at the end, because I do like to talk about the goddess, and it's about Gaia ultimately at the end of the day. And just when Wakwifa, when you mentioned, you were talking beautifully about Kalima and the dark goddess. So there's the dark goddess aspect that is frightening to us because maybe we don't understand what the dark goddess means. And then there was the part where Wakwifa, you then apologized for taking up too much space. And I was like, oh no. As those beautiful, the divine feminine energy is for us to take up more space. And my response to you was, no, Akasa, just grow bigger. Put your energy when you're walking down the street and you're feeling this collective depression energy coming in on top of you. That's when Wakwifa is to get bigger and blow out the aura. But there is this message with the divine feminine where part of our program is to stay small. And Gaia is not staying small anymore. She's exploding. And this beautiful message, Claire, that you brought through this morning for it, actually start with this beautiful rainbow energy with Gaia. But to come into these dark spaces within us, within the shadow work, Jeffrey was talking about, with the shadow aspect, that's where we're going into this darkness, and that's the dark goddess as well. But firstly, it's not always about infringement. It's not always about like these horrible things that are happening to us. It's also about remembering these incredibly powerful, dark, nurturing, organic spaces inside of us. Now we have the dark goddess, and we have this powerful divine feminine who is the warrior. She's not this beautiful queen sitting on the lotus petal floating in the sky. You know, we're bombarded with these beautiful images of femininity and what a beautiful, powerful woman maybe should look like. The beautiful, powerful woman also looks like Kali Ma. She also looks like what we call here the Gaia. And there's a number of other manifestations throughout history of the dark goddess. Hecate is another one, and so on and so forth. And these are these powerful women who are the warriors. And they look fierce and they look strong and they also look beautiful as well. They're both firm, love and firmness. And that is to be womanly. That is to be the divine goddess. That is to be Gaia as well. Because how could Gaia have possibly have survived the past millions of years, considering the inversion and just the things that have happened to Gaia if she wasn't the powerful dark warrior that was able to break through all of that as well. So it is with that. I do have a poem that I would like to read just to finish the energy off a little bit. It's very powerful. It's called an incantation. It's written by a powerful druid in Ireland who's connected sacredly into the land. And in the coming few years, there's going to be a lot of more sacredness and coding, and that's going to resurge and coming back through us as us light workers that we are, that we refer to ourselves as. We're remembering our ancestry, we're remembering our powerful knowledge and our wisdom, and it's returning through us, through these rememberings and through the land. And his name's Abergan, and he's a very powerful Irish druid and poet, and he's many other things that I can't talk about today. But he was also part of the triple goddess in Ireland. So we have the triple goddess of Eru, Bamba, and Fola. And at the moment, we're in the age of Eru. So I'm going to read, it's very short, so I won't keep you too long. I'm going to read it in Achuelica in Irish first, and then I'll do the English translation. Because the remembrance for people is to remember our core language as well, very important for Irish people, but not just for Irish. I think for people who are connected to the Celtic bloodline, regardless of where you are situated. But if you've any kind of the bloodline, the ancestry that's coming in, which can be, anywhere in the world, really, there is this connection to the Gaelic language, which is actually called the light language. It's so old, the ancient Irish, and it's called one of the first light languages. So there is a resurgence and a power and a memory that comes through the language for me, which brings us back together, not to have us separated as well. I'm going to read it now. Gasten where Tom Straighten Fuin Dam Schachtnern Shagan Owl Dergrinja Kindly Ball Tucker Gal Haya Lind Lochte Mai Brie Nai Brie Dane Brie Foy Breakfast too They Jelvis Fuquin Pud New Hio all Hotugger Eska Ishbi Hia do like Gwynethrinia. I am wind on sea, I am wave on land, I am roar of ocean, I am the stag with 7 times, I am an eagle on a cliff, I am a tear of the sun, I am the fairest flower, I am the rampaging boar, I am the swift salmon, I am a luck on the wings, I am the defiant word, I am the skill of art, I am the spear battle hardened, I am the god who puts fire in the head, Who would I know the cycles of the moon? And who would I know the place where the sun? Thank you.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. What a way to round up this round table. Hey, with that beautiful, your beautiful words there, Siobhan, and that poem. Absolutely phenomenal. Thank you. Does anybody else like to share anything before we finish, or should we finish it there with Siobhan's poem and speaking? Would you like to share, Jeffrey? No, yeah.
No, I think it's just with the poem is a beautiful way to end. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, beautiful. So thank you for joining us, and we on this beautiful 3-3 portal energies. I hope that you've enjoyed this, and yeah, we will see you soon. Obviously, if you would like to connect with anyone, individually, all of their details will be you'll find it, all their details will be found within the details of this video. And yes, we totally love, honor and respect you all. Veluvia to all. And yes, take care. Sending much love and light. Okay.
Yeah, because it was just touching on about what I was saying about, I know I'm going into the organic shadow side, because when it was more infringed, I would then fill that with organic stuff, TV, food, whatever, drugs, or whatever. So this morning, I was sitting in it and I really wasn't going to be, I wasn't going to show up. I had all these zillions of thoughts and soap operas playing out in my mind with all the feelings, the emotions as well. So it isn't just a thought, you feel it with all your senses. But I knew, I had to write this down so I didn't forget, I knew that it was organic, because where I set so many intentions, when I'm in that organic shadow side, I can go out and set more intentions. I think of more things, what's going on in the world, and focus my attention there. So it's actually the organic shadow. I want to help you more. So I just wanted to add that, and I just wanted to tie in, like Claire, you were saying, or I can't remember who said it, but it might be Tiffany. The AI, isn't it? It is. It's so infinitely, not infinitely, but it's so vast, and it's been doing it for so long, and we're playing catch up. And it is so true to invert us. It literally runs side by side, and you wouldn't even notice the gap. So I'm losing what I was saying now, but I was trying to say that inversion runs so close to you. It can be very difficult to determine which it is, the inversion or the organic. You see, because it's just literally side by side. So that's why I know what I was trying to say. It's the organic side I'm experiencing at the moment, because of how I'm, what tools I'm using to help me, and what I'm using to stimulate the ego. So just wanted to say that, yeah, that's it.
I just riffing off that as well, like, yes, a lot of the time we are getting psychically attacked, or we are being infringed, and that is true, but sometimes we just need to clean up our diet and go for a walk.
Yes, yeah.
Like with the brain fog thing that you were talking about, Wekafa, I totally relate to that. Living in London most of my 20s and 30s, always had brain fog, and yes, it was the density, yes, it was the darkness of the setup of that city, but actually I was lacking iodine, and like I needed to have that iodine in my body, which isn't in the soil. So now I take iodine, Lugol's iodine. I really recommend that to people who are vegetarian or vegan and lacking energy. And then that's, if you look at the color of it, it's like this deep, rich purple. So again, that's like another example of like the organic darkness being a beneficial addition. So that, yeah, there's just so many layers, isn't there? But sometimes you just, you need a supplement as well as a clearing.
Yes. Yeah, and that's true with the herbs. With you obviously specializing in herbs as well, Tiffany, sometimes I know I've been taking various different herbs to help, and I know with certain clients that are having to detox from a certain element that they have taken, the herbs is one of the greatest detoxes. The physical detox, obviously we work with the energetic detox, but the physical detox is things such as the herbs and supplements, and yeah, so yeah, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll send you a message, Tiffany, because I was actually, when you spoke about iodine, that jumped out, and I wanted to speak to you about a plant that you can eat as well. So I'll message that to you later if that's okay. But just quickly again, sorry, so nervous about speaking now, I can't shut up. I've been tapping for the last few days into the animals, and what came to me, like Claire said, I don't get it when I'm sitting down, but when I'm out walking, and it comes through as the same as if I'm talking now. So I always say to you, Claire, don't I, like, is this my higher self or not? And she's always reassuring me. But I've been tapping into the whales and the dolphins and all of life, really, where they sing the song of life, because I've just been highlighted to the rhythm of life, and I realised that there's probably some inversion there, because dolphins and whales, they got the sonar, haven't they? So they can send that out and connecting with all. So I've been drawn to work with them at the moment. Every time I set intentions, I'm aiding them to find whether they're being inverted, and also reconnect all of nature and us with the heartbeat of our mother above and below, and the song of life, really, and especially the dolphins and the whales. So that's come up for the last couple of weeks with me, and you were speaking about the animals and the vibrations and connecting with them more. Yeah, it's that song, isn't it? That song starting to be sung again. I suppose just like the humans, when they used to have the bards, they used to the songs just come up with us, didn't it, Claire? They weren't just singing a song. They was, I believe, like all the high priestesses and the druids or whatever, they got all these teachings. For us down here, the simple ones, we're not simple. We're just on their part in our journey. They couldn't teach that to us. It'd be like science being taught to a 2-year-old. So they needed the bards. I believe the bards are like they're the priests and priestesses, but they're the ones that can take the teachings and sing it to the ones that wouldn't understand the teachings because it's too far. They're like a middleman. So that's, if you know what the bards were of the old, where they used to sing the songs and tell the tales, and all of a sudden them bards aren't there now. We've got the inverted music instead, haven't we? Like the rapping and all that. So that came up a while back, didn't it, Claire? That the bards would have been singing the sacred knowledge so that the normal people, where they are on their journey, could connect to it and still benefit from the teachings. Anyway, that's it. I'll shut up now.
No, but this is really interesting. It's the harmonics. It's going back to what Claire said. It's the harmonics. Yeah. It's the medium of how it's being delivered. So yes, our mind might not receive it, but there's something on a vibrational level that it's being received with. My little one's always singing, always singing, and that for me, that's a sign he's happy, but also it's a sign that he's tapped in. He can hear something, and he's just responding to that. Yeah. And that in itself just brings in so much joy into our space, just him being in that space. So that in itself, so it goes back to what Claire said, harmonics. It's the harmony that's coming back that's been missing. And I think in my aura session as well, that's what came up, was the wolf energy was very much, we're in a symphony, but the chords being deleted. But that's what Gaia is birthing through. She's birthing through that vibration, that chord that is part of the harmony. And without it, we don't exist. You delete part of that, you delete a part of us. So it's all connected. It's beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. It is all about the harmonic energy. And when you were speaking, Wakafer, it's just reminded me about the mermaids humming, that hum, that tone. Yeah. It's all the different elements of the magical mystical creatures, even the birds singing, the magical dragon, the magical mystical creatures, all of the sea life, everything is this harmonic tone, this harmonic beautiful energy that we are, like you say, birthing back.
Song of life, isn't it?
Activating.
Yeah, it's activating. She found a way. She found a way.
I love it how you said in Wakafer's session, she was like, Gaia's found a way.
She found a way.
Yeah, found a way. Yeah, she's
so clever.